And now, a three-time sports editor, former online and managing editor, and host of Talk That Talk, award-winning journalist Terrell Chatterbox Emerson.
Welcome to it. Welcome to it. It is a little after 10 o'clock on a Thursday night, so you guys know what time it is. It is time for Talk That Talk. I am your host, Terrell Chatterbox Emerson. Again, it's a Thursday night, so typically Markel Collins will be in the building. Let's go ahead and give Markel a round of applause. We're actually about to get to, in the first hour, am I lying to you guys? Nope. In the first hour, we're getting ready to get to what Markel was doing this weekend, something that he did this weekend. But I'm starting this show and doing this show, rather, with somebody that I've gotten great reviews for, or about, rather. The funny thing is, I was waiting for this because typically when you argue on, I don't call this a debate show. It just is what it is. It's called Talk That Talk. It just is what it is. It's self-explanatory. I was waiting for somebody to ask me why this person hasn't been on the show, because the last two times this person was on the show, I guess you could say, just in terms of TV world, radio world, we got into it, right? I was happy to hear, or to not hear, those questions about when this person to be back on, because I've gotten those before. You guys must have knew that me and this guy was going to stay together, stay close. We've been talking off air a whole lot. My guy, Will Des, part of the Sporting Tribune, is in the building. Will, what's good with you, brother?
I'm back.
I'm about to refocus the hell out of this camera, but do not even worry about it. You can keep talking.
I look all right from what I see, but yeah, I'm back.
I feel like it's a little off, but we're good. You can keep talking.
It was just some scheduling conflicts, just some work, but it was anything like, oh, I didn't want to be on again. I definitely want to be on. I definitely want to get my licks in and get some licks back. So
let's get to it, brother. I'm, like I said before, this show provides a lot of different opportunities to bring different personalities and different energies on this show, right?
For sure.
Not gonna hold you, brother. I've been waiting for this one for a long time. So we got 2 hours to get to pretty much everything, brother. I think I have everything on the schedule. I have everything on the schedule tonight.
Yeah, it looked pretty full.
I have pretty much every sport on the schedule. That's pretty much here in Vegas for the most part. But we'll get to the show the only way we know how. Once again, thank you guys for tuning in to this Thursday show. It is episode 27 of season 7, episode 353 in totality for the Talk That Talk radio show here in Las Vegas. I am your host, Terrell Chatterbox Emerson. That's Will Despart doing the show with me tonight from the Harry Reid Research and Technology Park here on Sunset. I wasn't going to tell you this story, but it's radio, so why not do it, right?
Yes, sir.
So I had a slight dilemma coming in today, and I think I was the problem. So here's the thing. I was the problem originally, and one of the things that I say on this show all the time, you can have everything on your court, like everything on your side, and you can handle it in a way it doesn't really matter. Like you could have had all the chips on your side at first, and you blew it. That said, right, I pull up to AM/PM. And look at me dropping names. They're not dropping a check, but I did it. I pulled it to AM/PM. And normally I go in and y'all know I get my little cup, right? I get my little concoction. So I get what I get. Well, when I'm walking in, it says that they have like a shift change. And you know, I deal with shift change. You know how that works. But the door is open. And I'm like, all right, cool. So in the back of my mind, I'm like, I bartend. I got to grab one of these cups. It's cash. I don't care about the 64 cent. Keep it. Buddy is like shaking. Like, I can't do it. I can't do it. And I told him, and I was like, I explained it to him and was like, dog, this cup is like $139, bro. I'm going to leave you $2. Whenever your drawer is open, you could just take it. He was like, oh, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I stressed you. It's fine, brother. Don't worry about it. I go outside. I get the gas. I see somebody else go in with a cup. And I'm like, I know I'm not being tested on this beautiful night. There's no way in hell. I said, are you going to double back and go back inside before your radio show? Will, you want to guess what I did?
You went back inside. I mean, I see the drink, so you went back inside for sure.
I doubled back and went back inside. I see it's a dude who typically sees me. And I was like, you know what? I said, bro, I know this is not going to make, or I was like, I know this should make sense. I said, but I'm going to ask you. I said, if I grab one of these cups right now and leave you the cash, that's cool. He was like, yeah. I was like, you know how much it is? The other dude said $237. I looked. Now you want to talk to me. Bro, I almost lost my... Let's do this beautiful show, dog, before I lose my mind.
It's a good old Vegas cashier right there.
I was damn near like, don't talk to me. I don't want to know this 237 from you. You don't get to tell me 237. Anyway, episode 27 of the Talk That Talk radio show. I've been waiting to do this for a long time. Again, guys, if you guys would like to join us anytime we're live, that would be Thursdays 10 to midnight. And then, of course, Mondays 3 to 5. You can do so by going to our YouTube, going to our search bar, typing in Talk That Talk radio show. Once again, you can go to YouTube, go to the search bar, type in Talk That Talk radio show. It's pretty much the same across every platform. It's the same. It would be on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Instagram, Facebook. The one thing that's different is our Twitter. Our Twitter is at Talk That Talk LV. Once again, our Twitter is at Talk That Talk LV. Well, I want to argue, brother.
Let's go.
I don't know if we're going to argue the first hour.
Yeah, well, I didn't see many contentious things, but I'm sure something will come up. We go on many tangents, so I'm sure I'll just say something and that will
usually spark
vice
it.
versa. Yeah.
The past 2 times, I feel like you sparked it. I got to do something today.
Yeah.
I got to start a fire.
I think I have. Yeah.
I got to start a fire. It's on me now. But speaking of it being on us, right? Pressure was on Vegas in terms of being down 2-1, 3 straight victories for the home team. 3 straight 1-goal victories. I think that's important to note as well. What's your overall takeaways from what you saw in the first round against Minnesota?
I was surprised they came back when they were down 2-1. I thought it looked way bleaker than probably it really did in reality, just because they didn't have Eichel going. They didn't really have any other stars going. So I definitely thought it looked bleaker than it seemed at first, and they proved me wrong, obviously. They've obviously been in those situations before, I think. Obviously, I mean, against the Wild a few seasons ago, that series went 7, and then against the Avalanche the next round, I think it was probably they were down 2-1. I think with a chance to go down, or they were on 2-0, and the chance to go down 3-0 at T-Mobile, and then they won that game and ended up winning the series. So they've been there before. The experience obviously paid off, and now, despite being a young franchise, it's like they're probably the most experienced playoff core in the entire league. So
I actually seen a note a second ago that said that Vegas has the second most series wins amongst all teams since 2018.
that's crazy.
So that kind of gives you a little bit of an idea about how potent this team has been recently. One of the things that I've mentioned before, and I've given Lindy LaRocque a lot of credit, it's a little different because it's college, right? But they've been able to do it with different faces. And one of the things with Vegas I mentioned early on, I was like, all right, Barbie looks like he might be the guy. And then Tomas Hertl, every power play was his. And I'm sitting back and I'm like, okay, Keegan's scoring now. Like, what's going to happen when everybody starts to score? And then obviously you can't keep it up for an entire season. But and I talked to Bruce about it kind of early in the season when I was covering the Knights. He said the top line is the top line. On nights that they don't play well, the other guys have to step it up. 9 times out of 10, we're going to need that top line to be the top line. During that postseason, you're going to need your top guys to be those top guys.
For sure. And, I mean, because they had a lot of depth, and it obviously paid off. And later in the playoffs, I think when they get those guys going, it's going to bode well for them, obviously, because the Western Conference hasn't looked that strong in the first round across the board. Like, Winnipeg was supposed to probably be the shoe-in for not maybe a shoe-in, but a favorite heading into the West.
I thought it. Y'all know I thought it.
They're looking like they could struggle to beat the Blues. I mean, Avalanche and Stars, one of those teams is a Stanley Cup contender, and they're going to be out in the first round facing each other. So, I mean, it's kind of breaking down well for the Knights, despite how they played in the first round, which wasn't very impressive.
And that's the thing, right? It doesn't feel impressive. We're going to talk NBA at some point because I didn't even have it on this list. That lets you know how crazy the schedule looks right now, how crazy this rundown looks. But we're going to make sure we talk NBA at some point, right? At this point, it doesn't matter, right? You just want to advance. You want to, but the thing is, you don't want to deviate like too far from what you did in the regular season. And I think even when because I had to cover game 4. Am I lying? No, I had to cover game 4 for Isaiah. And shout out to Isaiah Torres, who covers the Golden Knights. And when I did game 4, the power play, them going 1 for 7 on their power play, well, 1 for their last 7 during that stretch on power plays, things like that concern me more than guys not necessarily scoring or maybe even decent defensive cohesiveness, things like that. Things that you were known for in the regular season, I feel like you can't go cold when it comes to the postseason.
Yeah, I agree with that. And obviously, the Knights specifically have had power play issues in previous seasons that reared their head in the playoffs, like with Steve Spile, the coach, with the special teams. So, yeah, I mean, that's obviously like a PTSD thing for Knights fans.
I think that's what a lot of it is, right? And a lot of it is overreaction as well.
Yeah.
But you said it a second ago. I'll say it now. You guys know I'm getting the Instagram posts up, but you said it a second ago. I said it maybe a little bit before that. This first round series, I was thinking about it when it was, I think, 1:50 left. And I sat back and I was like, you know what? This is going to sound very disrespectful. I did not expect this first round to be this difficult.
Yeah, I would say that's fair. I mean, the Wild are definitely a really good team. They've been playing really, really good like the last couple months. So, I mean, we probably should have thought that it would have been tougher. But the way the Knights have played this season too, it's kind of like they've been a wagon all season long. So it's kind of like this feels like the type of Knights team that would make that playoff run. And the first round kind of made me at least like kind of back off that a little bit. But now the way they finished this series, I think, is reminiscent of a championship team.
So it feels like you might be going back and forth in terms of the way that you feel about the Knights' chances.
I would say that's fair. I'd say like,
can I tell you before you tell me? Actually, no. Fair. Give me yours first. Actually, because I guess I was gonna tell you why I wasn't panicking. If they got eliminated, they got eliminated. Yeah. Like that's where you panic, right? But I wasn't worried from the standpoint of what you just said a second ago. None of these first round series look easy.
Yeah.
So from that standpoint, everybody's getting beat up a little bit. So the way I viewed it was, if this team survives it, then we're good.
I felt once they got to 2-2, I felt pretty good about it. But when they were down, it was like game 4, they were down 2-1, and they were losing that game for most of the game. And it really was the third period that saved them. And obviously in the later games with the video coach and everything, how that played out. So, I mean, yeah, it was a series that obviously could have went one way or the other, and they got the breaks because of experience and coaching and all the rest.
So, I don't know. First of all, you said you ran into traffic here twice on the way here, right?
Yeah, it's ridiculous, honestly. 10 p.m., there shouldn't be a car on the road. It's a Thursday night. But they want to do road work on every single road between here and my house and between downtown and my house, like even between UNLV and my house, which is like a mile. It takes like 15 minutes some days because it's just cones.
And the thing is, you just said it a second ago again, it feels like they work on all streets at one time.
Yeah.
So it's not even like you could take a detour, because the detour has a detour. And now you're like, bro, how did I end up here?
It's like they've been working on this street by UNLV in my apartment for like 3 years, bro. Like the cones are up monthly. Like, what could they possibly be doing? They're not fixing the road.
It might be year round. I mean, depending on.
There's got to be some type of money laundering thing or like something, because there's no way.
Well, I mean, we are in Vegas, right?
Yeah, so there's something sketchy going on with the traffic cones. I'll say that.
There goes that. But here, let's do this. Because of that, I don't know if you were able to. First of all, you shouldn't be on your phone, but I don't know if you were able to kind of peep what's probably happened since you've been in the car. Vegas was the first team to advance.
I did see that. Was actually before I left.
Right. Vegas is no longer the only team to advance in the West. Vegas has its opponent. and it's Edmonton.
That's going to be tricky. So, I mean, the Kings are no fluke either. Like that was a tough team, and they got manhandled those final 4 games after going up 2-0. So I mean, I don't think the Oilers are to match up Golden Knights particularly love. I almost said Golden State there.
Yeah,
Your hat's messing me up.
you know what's funny?
But yeah, I don't think that's a matchup that's
I hope nobody brings up this hat like back home.
very good for them.
I hope nobody brings up this hat from back home. Only reason why I wore this hat today is because I wanted to wear a hat, and the type of hair day that I'm having, this is the only one that was gonna fit on my hair. So I was like, you know what? Yeah, let's go ahead and rock with the Golden State hat. It still works. It's California, whatever.
Got the right
But
guy in here for that.
yeah, right. So real quick, you want to give me your outcome for the Edmonton Vegas series?
I would probably say Edmonton in 7 at this point. They got McDavid,
That's kind of where I feel too.
but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised either way. Like, I'm not saying that to like discredit the Knights or anything, but we're talking about a team that also went to the Stanley Cup Finals last year, was in the Game 7, had a chance to win it. So, I mean, that's a team I expect that because they survived that first round, like the Knights, where they probably they looked down and out at a point, probably more so than the Knights. So, I mean,
Well, I mean, I don't think has there been a team this season aside from Washington and Winnipeg, and I'm sure Washington Capitals fans and Jets fans could probably sit back and tell me like, no, there was a stretch from March 3rd to March 13th, whatever. From those 2 teams, aside from those 2 teams, doesn't it feel like everybody else had one of those moments?
yeah, I mean,
Vegas is January was discussed, or yeah, January was disgusting.
I didn't pay attention to the whole league enough in like dog days to like
Sure.
say that, but I mean, it seems like looking at Toronto, maybe them, but again, they could have had a stretch in January that I'm completely oblivious to.
Right. And I tell people all the time, especially when it comes to hockey, I'm leaning toward the Western Conference for sure,
Yeah,
for obvious reasons. But this Edmonton series is going to be very, very interesting. Winner goes to the Western Conference Finals. I hate feeling like I'm piggybacking off of somebody else's answer, but when I initially asked you that question, my answer played in my head, but all it kept saying was 6.
yeah.
And I was like, oh, damn. So one of them is 6, and my gut was telling me Edmonton in 6.
I can see that too. Like, I mean, maybe if it goes 7, the Golden Knights do have the edge there, so maybe the pick would be Edmonton in 6. But man, I don't know. It's definitely going to be a really good series, like a series where either team that wins could go on and win the whole thing, which I think is more true in NHL than almost any other sport, especially now. Like, it seems like there's like even that first round, like we said, between the Stars and the Avalanche. It's like that the winner of that series this is a first round series, but the winner of that series very well could win this whole thing. So it's like these first round series in hockey playoffs are like they feel like the highest stakes in all sports, really.
All right, so I know what we're about to argue about really quick. Maybe.
Okay.
I hope this works. Because I thought about this recently. Which job is harder to have? NHL goalie or NFL quarterback?
I don't know. It's tricky. I would probably say goalie because it's less glory.
Hmm.
I mean, I don't know about the ins and outs of like the position so much to say how like grueling it is. Quarterback can be grueling. It can not be grueling. Like some quarterbacks definitely have it worse than others in terms of like Drew Brees and Brett Favre. They got beat up over the course of their careers, but like Tom Brady, aside from the torn ACL in 08, he kept it relatively clean. I mean, he busted up his thumb in 17 in those playoffs, but like, he wasn't a guy who was known for getting injured. I mean, Manning later in his career was, so I don't know. I would also have to get into the nuances of like being a goalie and how much wear and tear that has on your body too. So
I'm thinking about it from a completely different standpoint. And this is why I'm so upset because and again, guys, I'm not too upset, but the best arguments between me and this man are arguments that shouldn't even happen. Like, it'd be a regular topic that we can't even get to the topic because we get hung up on something before the topic. But I think the answer is goalie. I think I have a different reason, though. So I had this conversation about Aiden Hill recently. And my answer is goalie because your backup plays every 5 days.
that's a fair point.
And if you go out there and
You're
have
kinda
two
like
stinkers,
You're kind of relying on your backup in a way too, because
absolutely you are.
Yeah.
But the problem is,
that's a fair point.
how many people have their starting goalie have a bad game, back-to-back bad games, whatever the case may be, and then everybody kind of sits back and everybody starts chanting for the backup. Respectfully, if you're the starter, you're like the dude that played 20 games. Like, I'm not saying he can't do it, but in terms of sample size, seems like it's pretty damn unfair to be a starting goalie in the league.
I feel like in Vegas that's especially true too, because they've
Logan?
been able to plug and play so many goalies that have done good, and it's like Knights fans feel rightfully confident that whoever they put in net is going to do fine, because historically everyone they've put in net in franchise history for the most part has done fine because of their defensive system.
So here's where I'll add to it a little bit, because I'll tell you where the conversation came from. At the time, Aiden Hill had lost back-to-back games. And at the time, Logan Thompson was 2-0 in the playoffs. I just thought it was an interesting stat to mention.
Yeah, I mean, there were definitely times this season where you questioned, did they pick the right goalie out of the two? I mean, obviously there were some financials involved with that made them lean toward Hill, the contract he signed, of course. But I mean, seeing how the Capitals played this season, especially with Thompson and net, I mean, it was kind of more of a platoon there in Washington than more other teams. But I mean, that was impressive, and it definitely made me question, was the right guy kept here?
Speaking of the right guy being kept here, Vegas doesn't have to worry about that right now.
Yeah,
Vegas doesn't have to worry about that. Vegas has to worry about the Oilers.
Bad either. It's just a good problem to have.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you just kind of said it. They've continued to have that problem over its existence, kind of. But let's talk a little bit about another Bill Foley investment. You guys know that's kind of the way I talk about certain topics around this time of year. How close attention, if any, do you pay to the Vegas Nighthawks?
Not all that much, I'll be honest.
So
I hear their games are pretty entertaining though.
Very entertaining.
I heard their first game of the season was crazy.
So I wasn't in the building for it, but I'm already knowing that group.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Do you know anything about the franchise? Like that they're in their third season? Do you know what?
I know. Yeah, I know.
Okay. So I don't have to tell you first year
owned by the Knights and everything, Foley.
Well, yeah, but I don't have to tell you first year 5 losses, last year second overall seed in the West, got bounced in the first round, ended up losing to the eventual champion. So quick little synopsis real quick. This season, they don't play the opening week. They play Monday of, I think they did have a week 0 or maybe it was a week 1, but they played technically that second week on a Monday night. So you're the last game of the second week. So, okay, cool. You get that. It's on the road. Then they have another one on the road. Okay. Start the season 0-2. Start the season on the road. Back-to-back games. I believe you're 1-1 after the first 2. Third game is the home opener. They lose that one. They're 1-2. They have 15 days to think about it. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is Markel Collins' beat. I help cover them when they have games on Mondays or Fridays. Well, I'm 5 weeks into the season. I don't know what the hell is going on. I just don't at this point.
Now, do they have much roster retention from year to year, or is it kind of they rebuild the team every year? Because
it's not a full rebuild. Our kicking room changes weekly.
Really?
It's very interesting. When I get to breaking down this story, you'll be like, okay, why are we here? So the 15 days pass, right? Yeah. So now you're back in action, back to work. I think you got 6 or 7 straight games. You know how football works. About 6 or 7 straight games now. They played with you guys kind of first month of the season. Now you're getting thrown into the thick of things. 1-2, going on the road. As a matter of fact, going on the road in San Antonio, you pull this one out, 35-28. Now, the Nighthawks opted not to start Jerome. Why am I blanking? Jerome Johnson, who last year was the league's MVP after being benched in 3 games and outright was the backup in another.
And he still won the MVP.
Yes.
That's crazy. Go on.
What more do you want me to say exactly? I have more, but I just want to know exactly what are you waiting for?
I don't know why the decision get made. Like,
so
I mean, there's obviously something to it. Or was it just like,
so you know better than anybody. I'll tell you personally, I don't really want to argue with any coach, but football is definitely the last sport I'm going to argue. It has too many small details,
nuances.
and to be honest, team to team, it's completely different. So I don't argue too much, right? But considering what you just said, I mean, you benched the man 3 times last year, he still won the MVP. Maybe you give him the benefit of the doubt this year. Week 1, well, the first game, Jerome got benched. If it wasn't the first game, it was the second game. I thought I was going crazy. Third game, it happened again, but game's kind of out of reach. You feel like maybe you want to give the backup some shots. I asked a question because I remember specifically, I got to go back and look at my notes to see which game it was, but the game that I was covering, Vegas had a 7-point lead, right? They go out there. They have a penalty. I believe Jerome rushes for a first down. They have a penalty. Comes back. They take him off the field. I was like, okay, did he get hurt? Maybe I'm tripping. Jaden DeLar runs out, who's a backup. He runs out. No shot at him. 3 straight incompletions.
Where did he play in college? I feel like I heard that name before.
This just has high school, and I know this isn't right. This says Arizona and Washington State, but it's under high school.
I know he went to Arizona. I know the name.
Washington State was it Arizona?
He did play at Arizona. He made some starts there, but something happened, I think. I don't know specifically.
I have to double check too, but Mark Hill might even know already. But he comes in 3 straight incompletions, right? The team might have been San Diego. Team goes down, ties the game at 35 or whatever. Jerome is back in the next drive. Jerome throws a pick. First turnover of the game. After the game, when I was talking to Mike, I was like, hey, I know Mike Davis. After all of these games, when I call him, I know him. There are certain questions that I'll ask, and he'll be like, I trust my coordinators. Like, once they say we're not going with we're going this way, this drive, I listen. I don't even know the reason. I'm listening. I said at any point, especially considering last year, he dealt with it all year long, and he brought you guys an MVP, second overall in the West. At any point when you guys take him out, are you worried about disrupting his rhythm? He comes back, he throws a pick. Mike said no. Like, doesn't even cross our mind. Shouldn't it?
Yeah, that seems short-sighted. But, I mean, there's probably a reason why he's coaching in the IFL or whatever league it is and not with all due respect. But, I mean, there's some, like, ineptitude going on here. With all due respect to the league and all due respect to the team, like, you have an MVP-winning quarterback and a guy in college who I know just with DeLaura personally, like, watching him, he had a shady track record on and off the field, I believe. So, I mean, clearly there's just some type of ego thing going on here between the coach and Johnson. If just based not with my minimal knowledge of the franchise, just hearing this story, it just seems like there's something deeper than football.
And I'm gonna be honest with you, dog. I'm to the point to where I've been around this team all three seasons, right? It has no problem pulling its quarterback. My only issue is this guy brought you an MVP through it, right? You had a former league MVP in Daquan Neal come last year, and he dealt with it. Here's the funny thing. If the Golden Knights lost in this first round, you think they blew it up?
depending on how they lost, I don't know if they would have blew it up, but I think some tough conversations would have been had.
So I say that to say I felt like the loser of this Clipper Nuggets first round series blows it up. Whether it's right or wrong, I feel like Denver blows it up anyway, considering they already fired their head coach, their GM. We already see what's happening. When I say blow up, I mean Jamal Murray's on the clock, and Jokic, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Anybody else is up for grabs.
How much of a blow up is that even really with what they have right now? I mean, Michael Porter Jr. at this point is not the player he's not a championship level player like he was in 2023 at this point. Murray is like consistent to the point, but
that Michael Porter Jr. point, I was going to say something, and we'll get to it when we get to basketball in a second. I didn't want to be super blunt about the point because it's going to come off as rude as hell. Even during that championship season,
yeah,
I'm not saying that he's not a championship player. There were some people that was like, if he just sits in that corner and he knocks down the three, that's why when you said he's not necessarily a server, I think he's still what he was when he came into the league.
Somewhat, I wouldn't say he's like.
Now we're venturing off, guys. But give me a second.
Kind of like injuries have kind of like he can barely lift his arms up. Like,
well, right now he said he can't. Right now,
yeah, like they threw him an alley-oop the other night, and you could see he couldn't lift his arms up, so he basically got like it looked like a train wreck. So I mean,
he hit the hardwood tonight after getting fouled by Kawhi on like a little like small bunny by the rim, and it looked like it hurt. It looked like he could barely.
It doesn't look like he's long for the league. I'll be honest. And 23, it looked like obviously like he could pull a couple things together, obviously like that guy from the corner, at least show some athleticism. But now it's like
it's kind of hit or miss.
It's hard to watch at times.
And we're actually going to start the second hour with Hoop Talk. Actually, I'm gonna probably reroute this because I'm gonna tell you what's on the list to start hour number 2. But for now, we'll wrap up with the Nighthawks. I'm gonna say go to Knights. We'll wrap up with the Nighthawks by letting you know that they're 2-2. Obviously, Delora went in there and got them to win. Played a very, very clean game. 3 touchdowns, no turnovers. Actually ran the football well as well, or ran the football well. In addition to, I got to be honest with you. This is what's going to put Jaden in an unfair position, in a no-win position. Most people don't feel like Jerome was playing badly to lose his spot. So when Jaden plays well, it's not like I'm hearing much about Jaden's play, which probably should be the conversation. It's more of like, if he did that, what would Jerome have done? And I don't think that's fair, to be quite honest. Yeah. But you got, I don't know if you have one.
No, I would just say, yeah, you're right.
Whatever. We're 4 games in, right? They're 2-2. No reason to panic. They're tied 3rd in the West right now. I just mentioned it a second ago. 3 of their first 4 games were on the road against Northern Arizona this Saturday, right? 6 p.m. start time. Saturday, Markel Collins should be at that game. It's the first of back-to-back home games for this group. Their first back-to-back home slate or home little scheduling this season, and at a time where this team needs it the most. Will, what time of year do we see each other the most?
Probably like fall, I would say, during football season when basketball is winding down. And I mean, probably like November, December. I was on quite a bit.
Sounds about right. I would assume fall is probably right. And fall means football.
Yes, sir.
Fall means football, brother. The 2025 draft class for the Las Vegas Raiders is set. It is headlined. And first of all, you guys know how I feel about confidence, right? You guys know how I feel about arrogance, right? I actually seen something that said you're being. My mom posted, I think it said you're being unrealistic. Maybe this would be your tip in for today. It said, at first you're unrealistic, and then you become the blueprint. And that just stuck with me, right? Like all week, it's kind of stuck with me. And the reason why is because you gotta, even though I'm a huge fan of arrogance, I'm a huge fan of confidence, all of that, right? You gotta say some things sometimes where the room might get a little weird. I wasn't even, and I'll say, and the funny thing is, people that know me, I'll say some shit like this. But during that introductory press conference, when Ashton Genty said that he was born, I believe it was December 2nd or something, and he was like, that's when greatness was born. And everybody, even Pete kind of looked at him and everybody kind of chuckled. I felt that through the screen. I said, everybody else in that room may not believe it. The person that's meant to believe it truly does.
Yeah, there's definitely a different mentality about him. Like even in his press conference, like answers that like in the Zoom call right when he got drafted, like very short and to the point. I was like, he's not a great quote like in terms of length, but he's gonna be pretty poignant in terms of like you're gonna get good quotes like that in terms of like straight to the point, like almost Mamba mentality esque.
And the funny thing is, you know my guy Levi Edwards, right? Shout out to my guy Levi. He did his first interview with him, and I don't know if you read the caption. Did you read the caption by any chance?
I did. I don't remember what it is. I did see the post on Instagram though.
It's insane, brother. So he said that it was like a conversation.
Yeah.
He said, well, that's it for me. Like, I'll talk to you after you make some plays on the field. And Ashton said, I guess we'll be becoming well acquainted. I'm not gonna lie, brother. I saw that one and said, yeah.
That's got a lot of faith in that offensive line.
That's the
because
are we getting to reality right now?
It's a bit necessary if we're gonna talk like that. I mean, listen, he's an unbelievable running back, probably the best who's entered the draft in a decade, better than a decade. But he is entering a team that averaged probably less than 60 yards a game on the ground last season.
Oh, I thought you were about to say per carry. You want to guess per carry? Because I don't even know, but you want to just try to guess?
Under 3.
I was gonna say 2.7.
That's probably right. Like maybe not exactly, but around that area. But yeah, they were abysmal running the ball last year, and it wasn't even that like, I mean, their backs weren't very good. Like Zamir White is probably not an NFL caliber running back in terms of like what he's done over the course of his career so far. Alexander Madison's a backup. Like, I mean, they got their best result out of Sincere McCormick, which is like,
and he suffered a season-ending injury late.
Yeah, so I mean. They needed to get a guy back there for sure because they need to run the ball. Because I mean, Geno's going to be much improved over Minshew and obviously O'Connell, but they're still going to need to establish the run like a Pete Carroll offense and the Chip Kelly offense has historically. I just don't know how they're going to do it with that offensive line right now. They're going to have to figure something out because, yeah,
I have. Do you want to stay on the Raiders for a second? Because we have 30 minutes to discuss NFL draft in general and no shot at the Raiders. We're going to discuss you guys all year long. So if you want to, I'm hoping you do.
I have no qualms about not talking about the Raiders.
You know what's so funny? I asked Tashawn, shout out to Tashawn Reed from The Athletic. I asked Tashawn a second ago, or after the season ended 2 seasons ago, I had a random thought come across my mind, and I asked him, and he looked at me, and he was like, "No, brother. Like, I talk about the Raiders all day long." He was like, "I'm not doing it." He was like, "I'm not." And it was just a random question. We were driving. It was just a random question, and he was like, "Not doing it. Not giving in to football talk right now."
I 100% feel that.
As soon as he said it, I was like, "You're absolutely right." Like, in hindsight, makes a lot of sense. But I want to actually give you this idea. We have the winners of the draft, the quarterbacks, the top 5 picks, and obviously the story of the draft, Shedeur Sanders. Where do you want to go?
Anywhere you want, really. I mean, Shedeur was obviously
Let's do it.
Something crazy. I mean, I was a guy who had I said it on the show. I had Shedeur over Cam at points in the regular season.
For sure. I think it was them back and forth. I ended up landing Cam, and people thought I was crazy earlier in the year. It ended up shaking out how it shook out. Yeah. But I didn't have 5 other quarterbacks, 6 other quarterbacks before Shedeur after that.
I don't know. Like, I wouldn't say I was fine with it, but I accepted it until it got to the Dillon Gabriel pick in the 3rd round.
They
got to the Dillon Gabriel pick, and they picked. I mean, Dillon Gabriel will not start an NFL game in his career. Like, I'm going to say that right now. He didn't project as a starter. He didn't project as a 3rd rounder. He probably, if the Browns didn't take him with that pick, he wouldn't have gotten drafted until the 6th round.
Do you think he would have lasted to the 6th round?
Yes, because of his injury concerns, because of where Ewers
I know his size. He's not.
I mean, Quinn Ewers went in the 7th round.
That's a fact.
If they took Quinn Ewers with that 3rd round pick instead of Dillon Gabriel, does anyone really have a much different reaction? It might have been better knowing we know about Quinn Ewers and his.
I don't think so.
Really?
I think people are like sick to their stomachs still.
I no, I agree with that. I agree with that in the terms of sense that Quinn over Shador, but I don't think anyone would have been more like disgusted than they were that it was Dillon Gabriel, because Dillon Gabriel, I mean, this is a guy who 25.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 25.
Mm-hmm.
I graduated high school in 2018. That was 7 years ago.
Yeah.
So like we're talking, he's pushing almost a decade in college.
Let's not talk about last time we graduated. Let's not. We don't got to do that.
Fair enough.
Do you know when I graduated? And I just sent this link to somebody I went to high school with, and I'm like
2011, 2012.
2012. So I'm almost 15 years removed, brother. And you talking about something anyway. Here's my thing about Shador. I was first of all, this is very unfortunate, but I had 3 days to figure out how I was going to cover this, and there's a couple different ways I feel like I can cover it. This is what I'll say. Just as a black man in general, especially as a black business owner, you will get the feeling sometimes that people are trying to humble you. And it's up to us, especially in those moments, to determine how we go about it. Right? I say that to say, even as I was watching the slide, I didn't think Shador would get to 21. I said it like a week before the draft. I said, if you guys think Shador drops to 21, you guys are insane. If you hand him to Mike Tomlin, you're crazy. And then I'm going to be honest, day 3, I'm watching the draft and I'm looking and I'm like, this entire uproar, and this is what I had to learn as a business owner too. It doesn't matter whether it's negotiations. It doesn't matter whether it's finalizing a contract with a team member, whatever the case may be. Sometimes you may feel like you earned something. Sometimes you may feel like you deserve something. And you start to walk and operate as if you already secured it. Nothing hurts worse than walking around feeling like you got a negotiation secure in your back pocket and it's gone.
Yeah.
And that was my takeaway from watching that. I hope, with all due respect for him, I hope that was his lesson, because I learned it in starting this business. You can have the business, you can have your paperwork right, you can be deserving of it. The moment you get a little too confident that it's yours, all of a sudden it's not yours anymore.
It honestly made me wonder if he got bad info from like, not scouts, but just like, I mean, obviously he doesn't have an agent, so like something I heard, like a kind of a theory floated, is like, how many people in the media, because they're all friends with Deion, and because like how many people in the media were really going to come out against Shador before the draft and say, this is what we're hearing? It's like kind of during the draft and after the draft, we kind of heard these reporters all kind of speak up and say, oh, now I did hear this before the draft. Right. I did hear this. But like, well, why didn't you report it?
The only thing we did hear, at least I don't know about you, but the only thing I kept hearing, that New York interview was loud. Like, I really think he went in there and was like, please don't pick me.
That's where all the like leaks and stuff came from. It was between the Giants and the Jets. Something that came out of one of those New York interviews. I don't even know if he interviewed with the Jets. So it could have been the Giants. So yeah. That's where like they said he was like the worst interview ever, and like he's disrespecting them. And that's honestly where I thought the prank calls came from at first, because I thought, oh, the Giants were so spurned by him that they, I mean, obviously that was a little tinfoil hat-ish on my part, but like,
I feel like all of the draft time is just tinfoil. Yeah. You're supposed to do it. I
mean, I don't know. It was just a perfect storm of things that just didn't like sit well with me in terms of that.
So let's get to the prank call for a second, right? I'll
say something. The kid's 21 years old. Not a kid, a man. He's a 21-year-old man.
Yeah.
And we're treating him like he's 7.
I agree.
Like they're making us. They find his dad. Whatever. Find his dad because he left the information out. He left it unsecure.
First of all, let's start there. Do you believe it?
No.
Okay, so let's just start there.
The NFL sent that phone number to 2,000 people. They sent the draft booklet out to 2,000 media members, scouting people, coaches. It wasn't just Shedeur getting prank called, and obviously that kid got it. That man, the 21-year-old man, I keep saying a kid, but I'm going to call him a man because that's what he is, and that's what he should be. He shouldn't get the justification of being a kid in this because we're treating it like a childish act because it was a prank call. You're 21 making prank calls. First off, like,
well, you didn't even make the call. You gave it to your mans to make the call.
Yeah, well, that's true. So, but you're all 21 making prank calls instead of going out and getting women or like, you know what I'm talking about. So like, that doesn't sit right with me in the first place. It's a Friday night, Thursday night. Go get some. You're in college. First off,
please do something better than pranking.
You cost your dad $100,000 in his
Real quick,
professional reputation.
We had the conversation about the McNeese State manager. You think he was placing prank calls on that night?
No, he was having a time,
bro. What? And I'm about to leave this campus. Anyway,
that's why he's got so much more aura than those SEC burner accounts.
It's the funniest thing in the world, dog. I to be honest with you, gross, disgusting, childish, immature. Do we have any other ones?
Not suitable for air.
Good point. To be honest with you, I'm not really sure what anybody is supposed to make of that because you're gonna have to wait a little bit longer, obviously, and then like the immediate hang up. You see what Shedeur said. Shedeur looked around. What does that even mean?
Yeah,
like we didn't even. It took too long to even understand the joke, and then by the time you understood it, it was like, okay, so we're still waiting. Like it wasn't that big of a deal. Like you said before, the bigger thing that you did, you kind of popped out and told the world you're an asshole.
And you posted a video of it with your face in it.
I didn't want to be the guy to say it, but why do y'all record every damn thing?
We got you on film. We saw it,
and we didn't have to. You did it. It's not a surveillance camera. It ain't somebody recording in secret.
You post it from a burner account with a hidden name, thinking like, oh, whoever did that threw his buddies right under the bus. Like, he ain't getting invited to no more of the prank calling parties.
Did you tell me you've been to California or no?
Yeah, I've been to California. I was in California. I was at Joshua Tree like 2 weeks ago.
You absolutely were. This incident itself reminds me of like several nights at Loyola Marymount. Just being at LMU and just being like, why am I
here? That checks out. That seems like the type of kids that would be at Loyola Marymount.
That's exactly what it feels like. As soon as I seen the way he reacted in the background too, I said, oh, this gave LMU vibes, and I don't need to be anywhere near it. The fact that, and I'm gonna be completely honest, you guys know how I feel typically about it. Getting drafted is a blessing, which is the reason why I said what I said about Shedeur, right? You could feel like it's the same thing I said about John Morant. It's a private entity. They don't have to let you in. They just don't. We can talk about the reasons all day long, right? We feel like we're still right in terms of the defenders of Cap. Didn't matter. Like they said no, and it's a no. I couldn't be more upset, and this is gonna sound trash, than the fact that he went to the Cleveland Browns. And I'm going to be honest. The only reason why is because I've never believed in anything Cleveland has done. Got to be honest with you. They got Deshaun Watson, and I said, you know what? That young man isn't going to forget how to throw a football. I think I said it literally at Westgate. It appears that young man has forgot how to throw a football.
Well, it's just his arm, his shoulder. Like, it's not – he's never going to be the same because his shoulder is destroyed. And the quicker the Browns have obviously accepted that. You don't double dip on quarterbacks in the draft and then sign Joe Flacco, who led you to the playoffs as a starter. You don't make those decisions and put that much capital into the position if you trust that Deshaun Watson's ever going to be even on the field again. So they're basically just paying out that contract because that's what they've signed and they've screwed themselves. I do think Cleveland, in terms of being in the 5th round, if Shedeur had to be a 5th round pick and you're going to go to a scenario that you're going to be sat on the bench probably as a 5th rounder for years and years and years, unless something happens like Brock Purdy, like 1 in a million chance. Cleveland is the position now where he could legitimately go into that camp and win that starting job as a 5th round pick.
Yeah.
Which I think, given his current predicament, might not be the best thing, but it's a silver lining to the fact that like there were points during the draft where it's like, are they ever going to give this guy a shot in the league as even as a starter? And I think being in Cleveland, he's going to get that opportunity at some point, whether it's this season, which I think it will.
Does he get us? Well, you already said it. You said so he gets his shot before Dylan does.
Yes,
So they burned a 3rd round pick.
definitively before Dylan does.
So they burned a 3rd round pick.
Yes, and that's why I said at the time it was the worst pick in the draft, even before they drafted Shador, because I don't think people realize they burned that pick before they drafted Shador. Because he's not an NFL quarterback. He's not a starting quarterback. He has his knee is torn to shreds. He's 25 years old. What are you going to develop out of a 25-year-old? You're going to sit him 3 years behind Joe Flacco till he's 28?
You got to chill on the Joe Flacco point just for a second. Because every time I count Joe out, I look up and I'll be like, Joe's around.
That's what I'm saying.
Joe's around still.
You think you're going to push Joe Flacco out? I will guarantee you Joe Flacco at 45 will be a better quarterback than Dylan Gabriel is at 28. Whether he's in the league or not.
So let's do this. Let's talk about the quarterback, or let's not talk about the quarterback. Let's talk about the top 5 picks really quick. I'll do 2 that stand out to me really quick. I'm gonna go Abdul Carter. I said it before. I have no problem saying it. Abdul, to me, reminds me of Mario Williams in the Reggie Bush draft. Reminds me of Myles Garrett. Reminds me of, I guess you could say Micah. Everybody says Micah, but I'm still naming people with that, in my opinion, that still had a little more hype. And I have to go back and see what the energy was around Micah before. I don't think it was weak energy, but
Micah had off the field stuff too.
See, so that could be what I'm remembering, right? I don't remember it being as high as it is now. I looked at Abdul Carter and I said, if I was Cleveland, you could tell me that stress fracture would keep him out all year. Guess who I draft if I'm Cleveland? Give me him. I'm going to put him on the other side of Myles Garrett. Whenever he's healthy, I'll figure it out. Last time I was on this show, I talked about the breaking news that he had came out and was like, yeah, I had a jersey number in mind. I whispered to the camera, Lawrence Taylor, don't do it. Shout out to Lawrence Taylor for coming out and saying, yeah, not going to happen. Find your own number.
I know anything about Lawrence Tayller. There was less than 0% chance.
You want what number?
Like, I almost cringed when I heard him say it because
I did.
Like, do you know? Like, do you know who Lawrence Taylor is? Like, you said he's the greatest football player of all time, so you know. But
so you know who he is.
You're not asking the Chicago Bulls on retire 23.
Hey, dog. I don't know why he would say that out loud, but it gave me confidence that the person that I saw in college is coming to the NFL. I anticipate him to be a monster. I don't know if he's going to be LT, but I do anticipate him to be some sort of defensive threat. And the last thing I'm going to say really quick, I don't know how quickly teams can turn from one year to the other. I wouldn't get into the winners now, per se, because I do like the New York Giants draft. I know I sound nuts. I like the Carolina Panthers draft. I know I sound nuts. But the Patriots drafting Will Campbell. The Patriots also drafting somebody like a Kyle Williams, former UNLV Rebel.
I'd love to see that, by the way.
I think Mike Vrabel might be competing for the division in year one.
They're cooking. I said this year as a Patriots
and
fan,
Stephon Diggs. Damn, let's add that.
As a Patriots fan, I'm keeping my expectations a little tempered this year. Like maybe 9, 10 wins, but like next season, like not next season, but the year after that, like year 2 in Vrabel, the year 2 in Vrabel era needs to be contending expectations with what they're building here. They have the money, they're building the roster, they have the skill positions. Almost like they need one more wide receiver to complement Diggs and what they drafted. They need some help on defense, but they need to build up a line next to Campbell a little bit. But they're a year 2 away from being a legitimate contender in the AFC. And I don't know if they'll compete for the division this year just because the Bills are a wagon. But
how much confidence do you have in Drake May? Because there's a reason why I want to go there.
A lot.
Do you know what I anticipate Shador being like this year? You're a Patriot fan, so maybe I'm crazy. Didn't Joe Milton go crazy in the preseason?
He did, and he went crazy when he played in the last regular season game. They started him instead of Drake May in week 17, and he was unreal. They won the game, I'm pretty sure.
And I told my dad, I said, I just want to be sure. I said, if Jerry was doing his homework,
Someone traded for him too. Like,
for who?
Milton.
Oh,
Like off that game tape in week 17. I don't remember who exactly it was, but like
so now can you Google where he went?
yeah.
The reason why I'm bringing this up is because I had told my dad, I said, if you're Jerry Jones and you do your homework, I would look at somebody like a Joe and say, well, I saw what he was able to do. Let me go try to grab
Oh,
him.
he went to Dallas.
You're lying.
Swear to God.
Bro, give me a... Hey, dog. Did Jerry do his homework? Because if I'm Dallas and you... Obviously, Dak is dealing with injuries, but if you want to put some pressure on Dak, I got a young boy right here that's ready to go. And I feel like Shedeur might kind of be in that same mode. And it's not going to be his fault, right? But Shedeur is going to be maybe the last quarterback to get up. So if Shedeur is the last quarterback to get up for Cleveland during the preseason, he's going to be going against third and fourth stringers, guys that are going to get cut.
I don't think that'll
might
be the case, by the way. I don't think that'll be the case. I think they're gonna give him a shot. Like
I don't think so, brother. I don't know.
They're gonna see in camp what they have out of their quarterback position, and if they're being honest about it, he's going to be the second quarterback on the depth chart. If they're being honest about it. Now, that is a major if. That is a major if. Like
why are you so confident that the Browns can identify quarterback talent?
I mean, they were the one that took the stab in the first place. Obviously, it was in the 5th round, but
at some point you got to land on a name.
That's the one thing I'm giving them. Other than that, you're right. I don't know what evidence.
I don't know why I have faith. I don't know why I have faith in them.
I don't know.
All right, well, let's do this. Give me your winners really quick of the draft, or your winner of the draft really quick. Like I said, I like the fact that I just like New York's picks. But as far as especially trading back into the first round to get Jackson Dart, I mentioned him for Raider fans. I like the fact that Carolina went out and addressed the need in the sense of trying to get Bryce some young weapons. So you already got Xavier Legette. You go and get 2 receivers in this draft that I think are going to be very, very good. I like what they did in terms of getting Bryce a little backup.
Yeah, for sure. I'd say the Giants probably won it for sure. I mean, you get Dart, who's quarterback you obviously wanted. You get Abdul Carter. You got a couple weapons in the second round. I got to pull up some of the names I saw, but like there were some guys late in the round, like late in the draft I saw the Giants get, and I'm like, damn, these guys are putting together a really good draft. Shout out to UNLV guys that got drafted too.
Yeah, man.
Especially, I mean, the guys transferred out, Nolan Kyle Williams, obviously unrelated, but
so I didn't want to say that, but I'm gonna say this.
I'll say.
Did you watch Nolan Kyle last year? So we're talking about Noah Williams, defensive back from Cal, and then Kyle Williams, wide receiver from Washington State. Did you watch them last year?
Yeah, like obviously, like just from like not specifically, but you watch Cal, you watch Washington State, like they're on TV. Like Kyle Williams was one of the like better receivers in the country this past season, and Noah Williams led the country.
Was one of them. How much better did they get when they left UNLV? I remember when Noah hopped in the transfer portal, and there were people like, oh, we're going to lose Noah. Like, oh, that sucks. And there were some people that was like, who cares? I was kind of watching this year and was like, UNLV doesn't necessarily miss him.
They missed
him. Might be the best.
Him more than they realized, but you see how they develop, and it completely justified the decision to leave. And I will say one thing. There were 3 former UNLV football players drafted in this past draft. All 3 were Marcus Arroyo recruits.
Yeah, they were. Indeed, they were.
0 Barry Odom recruits.
Still got a little bit of time for now.
I mean, I don't want to get on a tangent, but this whole poaching thing with Purdue's pissing me off.
Is it really?
It's just like, I mean, I shouldn't say that, but I don't know. Just, I get taking the players you're going to take, but tampering, like clear tampering, I don't know.
I mean, aren't we?
I get it's going to happen.
Used to it in college sports that when a coach leaves, I'm bringing my guys with me.
We are, but I don't know. I guess just seeing it happen here for the first time and having like a good program, like I do honestly think like Mullen's going to build on what Odom did and like improve upon it. because you just see how like the advanced media attention, you see the more money being poured in, and honestly, the NIL structures completely changes the team.
Yeah.
Where instead of going by position last year, that's kind of like I honestly believe Odom's like NIL philosophy, which I don't think he carried over to Purdue, by the way. I
don't know if
think
I don't know if he needed to.
I think his NIL philosophy here, where he was spreading it out upon position groups. I mean, you saw the controversy it created with Sluka and all
Right.
that. But I think that honestly like capped his ability to build a roster with great recruits. You saw the guys he was bringing in with him were guys who played with him before.
Right.
Mullen's bringing in guys like the talent he's bringing in are guys that are like former 5 stars and 4 stars who like maybe had a little bit of off the field trouble or couldn't figure it out because of injuries or couldn't get on the field when they got to their colleges. That's kind of the thing that UNLV should be building off of in the future instead of just relying on SEC Barry Odom recruits. Because at once that well went dry with players that played for him in Arkansas, Barry would have had trouble recruiting. You're seeing it at Purdue. They're not recruiting out very well outside of players that Barry Odom is bringing from UNLV. And do we really think those players from UNLV, these 3 and 4 star guys, are going to hold up in the Big Ten on a Purdue roster that went 1-11 last year? No. It's going to be a reality check, and the guy might be job hunting in 2 or 3 years.
We actually had that discussion when he originally left, and I mean, we said it before. 6 wins at Purdue is a little different than 8 at UNLV.
You're not getting 6 wins at Purdue with UNLV players.
Oh, well, that's a different story. But I was just saying, just from the standpoint of,
yeah, no, but I agree.
I don't know what the wiggle room is going to be for him. You know what I mean? So, like you say, you're talking about 2 or 3 years. If we go in 2, if 2 is being the baseline, we could go under only because I think at the end of year 2, if Barry has a combined 7 wins, I think they're looking at it like, you know what, let's just cut our losses down and figure out where we can restart. But into hour number 2 of the Talk That Talk radio show, your Thursday night edition. That's Will Despart. I'm Terrell Chatterbox Emerson. We got, actually, you kind of just did it for me, but I was going to get to UNLV football, well, UNLV sports kind of in general really quick. Nothing like breaking to tell you guys per se, so I'm going to shift it a little bit into NBA playoff talk. But before I do that, let's round of applause really quick for Ricky White, right? Ricky White, first draft pick for UNLV in 15 years. Big moment for him. To see him get the call was dope. To see Seattle Post, obviously the call was dope. To know how Ricky works is going to be interesting, right? Because Ricky can catch the hell out of a football. Ricky would be one of those stories that we would have covering a mid-major college where Ricky might make it in this league as a special teams player.
He is. That's going to be where he cuts his teeth.
But that's going to have to be.
That's going to be what keeps him.
But what I'm talking about is you and I and the people that covered him will be able to watch him. Let's say he has a 6-year NFL career, whatever it is. Let's say he's a special teamer. Let's say he has a 10-year special teams career, whatever the case may be. You and I, along with everybody else that covered him, will be able to pull up them UNLV highlights and be like, if they fuck around and give him a shot, that's what I mean. With all due respect to some of these special teamers at the next level, it could be Ricky. Ricky can get to the next level and be like, okay, let's just keep you at special teams. Maybe NFL receiver isn't necessarily for you. That's why I go back to speaking about the way Ricky works. I do believe he's going to, like you said, make majority of his noise on the special teams unit. I do think he ultimately gets a shot to line.
Oh, I believe he will too. And I mean, you see it more in like wide receiver position. Guys get later round guys kind of get their chance to shine just because there's so many packages you can put multiple wide receivers on the field for. But Ricky, like, he's a guy that fell in the draft because he doesn't test well. He doesn't have the physical traits of his don't pop out well in the combine. Obviously, he ran a 4.6 in the combine, which was very, very bad.
Right.
That probably did him no favors.
I was going to highlight this too. When you watch Ricky, and you're somebody who watched Ricky up close and personal as well, did it ever feel like Ricky was moving like extremely fast? He just has long ass strides. It felt
like Ricky moved slow to me, honestly. Like that was the one thing. Like you saw the numbers he put up. I mean, that was kind of why I wasn't surprised he got drafted like where he did. And that, but even like there was a time in the draft where I thought he might not even get drafted because when you watch the tape, as great as it is, and the numbers he's putting up, it doesn't look super explosive. It's fast. He's fast, and there's no doubt he's fast, but he's not hitting that he's not hitting a huge burst on these runs. Like, and the burst he is hitting is kind of like it looks less than it actually. Like, it looks more. I mean, I'm not putting this right, but he's faster than it looks. Like,
That's why I said I think it's the longer strides.
Yeah, it's faster.
I think that's ultimately what it is. The reason why is because you ever seen somebody
like there's sometimes when he runs routes, it looks like
Never
it's in
mind.
slow motion.
Never mind, because I almost said something, and you're probably gonna laugh. I almost said you ever seen somebody do the long jump.
No,
Wasn't he a hurdler?
I know his siblings are like track stars. Like his
I think
sister
he's a
is like
hurdler,
his
bro.
sister's like one of the best like track athletes in the country. I'm pretty sure.
But I think he personally did the
probably
hurdle.
was. He probably was.
I think if that makes the most sense because
Yeah,
just
that
me
does
covering
make his
track from high
strides,
school,
yeah.
I'm thinking about it. Watching him get off the line, that's exactly what it looks like. Them first couple steps, he's gathering the momentum. But if you let Ricky get to that fourth step, it's over.
Those long strides also help him make those like cuts and those breaks, dude. Because when he does like a chop step or a stutter step, like that, it fools the receiver more or the corner more than it would if he were doing it quickly and like there's something. It's almost like a pitcher with a weird stride or a weird motion like, on the mound. Like there's something about the way he gets off the line of scrimmage that's like tricky to guard because it's not super like explosive. It's kind of weird to say you're watching away, but it's like
Luka, Paul Pierce,
Yeah,
anybody else you want to name?
it's like craft.
Le'Veon Bell.
And he's a very good route runner in that way, where he's like a crafty route runner, and he can obviously, like you said, catch the hell out of the football. But
Bro, the thing that I don't, and obviously everybody in the NFL, you don't need to necessarily have these traits, but Ricky has long ass limbs. And that's what I'm going to continue to go back to. Them first couple strides, I don't think he's going to necessarily shock anybody at camp, like, or shock everybody at camp. But I do think in camp, one, maybe two quarterbacks are going to line up on him, and the strides are going to be the first thing that they take away. Like as you said before, some of the routes that he's running, especially what we saw here at UNLV, if he's on the left hash mark, or if the team is on the left hash and he's lined up on the left side, most of us knew. But if Ricky cuts across the middle and he has that open room, we've seen in games where the offense kind of struggled. If he got to the middle of the field, you're not stopping him once he caught his stride. And that's the thing that, like I said before, at the next level, we don't know how much he's going to get to show that at the next level in his first year. But ultimately, we're hoping that I think I said it before with Lex Thomas too, just a chance, right? We'll see ultimately where he lands. I think it's doubly kind of I guess UNLV watch alert, right? For fans out here, because Jackson Woodard signed as well. And I'm not gonna forget Jonathan Baldwin as well, DB. He signed with Green Bay.
Cam Oliver, the Giants.
That's actually new to me because I didn't know that at the time. I think the last one I got was JB's. Cam Oliver to the Giants is pretty dope. Another reason why I like the Giants offseason moves or draft moves.
And then how about Tiger Shanks, top 5 in the CFL?
In the CFL, that was what I changed in the rundown. Top 5 pick, the highest pick ever for a UNLV player in the CFL.
It makes me wonder how like the CFL recruiting process works, because
talk to me.
Like you have to know that going in, like you going for guys who aren't going to get drafted, but also like are you competing for guys that are like going to be undrafted free agents in the NFL? Or are you like, because Tiger Shanks is a guy who seems like a borderline draft pick.
So I didn't want to be the one to say it, but in the back of my mind, I was like, I got him 2 years in the NFL or in the CFL before somebody in the NFL has some injuries, and they're like, let's just see.
Well, yeah, I mean, as a top 5 pick, especially in the CFL, you're going in as the man. You're going in as a starter. You're going like I saw pre-draft odds, like he was vaguely in the conversation for the top pick. Like when they posted like the top, like when the Canadian betting websites posted their little Instagram graphics of the two would be the top pick in the CFL draft this season, Tiger Shanks was like listed on the odds, which was pretty cool to see. But it just makes me wonder about like how are they like in what degree are they competing with like 2025 NFL draft prospects for like players?
So just in terms of the IFL, we talked about that a little bit earlier, right? I was talking to Mike Davis 2 seasons ago maybe about his approach in the offseason. And I was like, the Raiders are up the street. Like, do you guys even pay attention to that? Whatever. And he was like, not to say that it's not a goal, but he was just saying that there's just levels to it, right? And he was just saying, like, we look at a lot of our guys, we'll lose them halfway through the year because Canada comes calling. Like, we've lost quarterbacks before because Canada came calling. It happens. So from that standpoint, I think that might have a little bit more of an answer for you a little bit.
Yeah.
The Canadian Football League, I wonder, based on the question that you just asked, similar to what I asked Mike Davis, if they even have eyes on the NFL. They probably have one on the NFL. Majority of their eyes are probably looking in other leagues, trying to steal the best talent from these other leagues.
That's true, but just in terms of like the draft, like, and like you're kind of like I don't know, like, would you rather be an undrafted free agent or would you rather be a top round pick in the CFL
What
draft?
position do I play?
I mean, if you're Tiger Shanks.
Oh, if I'm Tiger, I'd rather go to the CFL because I'd rather block the hell out of these defensive linemen for the NFL to see me.
And you'd have a different answer if it was like a quarterback.
I would. If I was like a cornerback or like if I'm a special teamer.
Or what about QB?
I don't like it. I don't think you get the NFL. I don't think they're looking for their next Kurt Warner. You get what I mean?
That's a fair point.
It'll fall in their lap. I don't think they're looking for it. Speaking of quarterback play, hate that I got to break this news, but I thought I was tripping when I read this note. To see Jordan Travis have to retire from the game, just prayers to him. That was tough reading, so I don't even know how tough it was writing. Again, I will go back to this all the time, and he's never told me he's tired of me telling the story. If he tells me he's tired of it, I'll stop. But I was in my walking boot at the same time that Charles Williams was in his cast. Charles broke his ankle a couple weeks before I tore my Achilles. So we're on campus, like going to doctor's appointment. It's like at the same time type thing, right? We were in class one day. We chilling. He got his scooter. I'm in my boot. We looked crazy as all hell. Sitting in class, and I was like, "Hey, Chuck." I said, "Did you cry when you broke your ankle?" And he was like, "Nah." Complete sidebar. I never broke anything in my life. When I got into my car accident and I broke my hand, you will be surprised how much adrenaline runs through your body. I didn't know my hand was broke. You know, I carry around a gallon of water. I tried to hold it with my left hand.
Yeah.
It felt like somebody was separating my shit. I was like,
yeah.
Oh, you broke my joint. I was like, I never knew that. Anyway, I asked Chuck, I was like, did you cry when you broke your ankle? He was like, nah. He was like, did you cry when you tore your Achilles? I said, nah. I sat there knowing that he was going to say no 9 times out of 10, right? I said, you cry in rehab? He just looked over at me. I said, it's cool, brother. We all do. Because your body starts to feel like it's not working.
Yeah.
So to read what Jordan Travis said about they did everything they could, the leg just didn't respond. What is an athlete to do in that moment?
I don't know. And that's especially tough because when you're an athlete, it's all you know. Like, you're just a guy like me or you, we tear our Achilles. Like, it sucks, obviously. I'm not Terry ACL, tear Achilles. It sucks, obviously, but like, there's still a life to live. Like, we know how to be a person outside of sports. Like, we know how to operate in like society without sports. Like, when you're an athlete and you lose that, it's kind of like you lose your entire identity in a way. So it's kind of like you see it with guys that step out of league. In general, you see it with college athletes who just don't make the cut.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't know. And to lose it that way when you had prospects of being in the NFL, and to lose it in the way you did at Florida State, where you're on the verge of the playoff, it's just, it's hard to watch because there was no silver lining. It seems like everything just went south, and it happens in life. But
and you know what else crossed my mind when I read that note? When Florida State didn't make the playoff, and his initial statement after that, and he said he wished he got hurt earlier.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just certain things like that. Like,
yeah,
it just goes to show the emotional roller coaster that this injury has taken this kid on, this man on.
It's just obviously the dark side of sports. Like, there's just, I mean, especially football. It's a game where you're getting in a car accident physically every game, several of them. So it's like,
And I'll say this real quick, just because you said it. I don't think I knew you at the time. This was June, maybe 2 years ago. Have you ever met my dog Spade?
no, I haven't.
That's a problem.
Yeah, I
But-
gotta get put on.
Spade is a Husky Shepherd, right? And long live my guy Ace, because Ace was what was Ace? Ace was a black lab and a shepherd. And Ace was one of them dogs. I've brought Ace plenty of places, right? And both of them are ESAs. Ace is a little better just in terms of just off leash training. Ace would walk down the street with me, no leash. He didn't even like cars, so he wouldn't be too close to it. He was fine, right? I walk out the house one day. I drop Spade's leash. He doesn't even realize it. But as I'm locking the door, I'm like, Spade, chill out. And he realized that I'm not on him. He takes off. I'm like, I'm not too worried about it. I call him. You know when a dog takes off and the ears get pinned back? I looked at Ace. Said, fuck. I took off. Bro, I realized halfway through I'm chasing a Husky. I'm not going to catch
I
him.
don't know, no way.
Bro, I had to hop in my car. I had to literally cut my dog off in my vehicle. Like, it was bad, brother. I said all that to say I hopped out the car. He runs in front of, like, a Jeep. So I have to, like, 3-point stance, tackle him. Tackle my big-ass Husky. Rip my Adidas slide. It's bad, right? I grab him. As I tackle him, I'm staring at headlights. So I'm like, you could have killed us both. Throw him in the car. I wake up the morning after. I place one phone call. The phone call I place is to Mike Hughes. Shout out to my guy, Mike Hughes. You guys know, especially if you are familiar with this company, but bigger than that, Mike was a captain on the UNLV football team. Mike played for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I called him, and we always talk about our dogs. I said, yo, real quick, Spade got out yesterday. He was like, oh, damn, what happened? I'm giving him the full story. I said, long story, a little less long. Spade is safe. Here's the issue. I made one tackle, and I can't get out of bed. He started crying. I said, you guys are fucking insane. You want me to do this 52 times in a game?
Yeah,
I'm not doing this. I made one tackle on gravel and was like, I need a seesaw bath.
So it's really kind of like wrestling too. It's kind of like you take for granted like how much that has to hurt. Like every time you just see it on TV, you're like, oh, if they get up, it's fine. Like they feel all right, probably. No, get hit once. Go jump on a wrestling mat once and just take like a swanton bomb.
I was just about to say, take a Gunther chop.
And tell me how you feel. Oh, don't even get me started on that. You take a
Gunther chop.
A Gunther chop will draw blood.
No, 1,000%.
Like
1,000%.
No.
And the crazy thing about it is too, I think Gunther actually likes being chopped back. I wouldn't hit him back. I'd be like, you got it, bro. You got it. I don't want no part of it. Will and I were at WrestleMania. Can you tell? We got basketball talk. We were not supposed to talk 15 minutes on whatever the hell we just did, but that's usually the way it goes here. I'm gonna be honest. I've been this way since last week. My Pacers moved on, so I'm chilling, brother. But no, in all seriousness, the only conversation I really want to have, and I'll let you take over just in terms of NBA talk. I want to talk post-game pressers, right? A couple of them I want to talk about. I got JJ, I got Bron, and I got Giannis. Where am I starting?
I think you got to start Giannis because post-game of the Pacers, Pops Halliburton, obviously some drama.
Brother, here's the thing. Certain entities around this league, around this city, and honestly around this country, around the world, actually, shout out to USA Basketball, they'll know certain instances. My dad would be my photographer. And I didn't taught my dad how to use cameras for this reason. Like, that's the way that you're going to catch some of this dope stuff with me. It just is what it is. Because of that, there's a conversation that we had prior to. My dad being in sports all his life, conversation wasn't really hard to have. I say all of that to say two things. I couldn't imagine being Tyrese Halliburton and sending the team home for the second straight year, also by hitting the game winner. B, I couldn't imagine being Tyrese Halliburton and my dad is in the opposing player's face after I just sent him home.
Yeah, that's definitely not a scenario I envy. Just as a guy who's seen my father in similar situations, of not like just being the guy in public, you're just like, shut up.
You just don't have to
Just
do this.
shut up.
You just don't have to be this guy, bro.
Relax. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel for people like putting the blame on Tyrese too, because it's like he's just a guy. He's celebrating the moment in his own
Exactly.
way. He's not in anyone's face. I mean, I 100% applaud Giannis for how he reacted, even though some people were even giving him like shit for it on the internet at first.
There's nothing negative to say about Giannis.
If I was Giannis Antetokounmpo and Pops Halliburton is in my face like that, in that scenario, I'm extending my palm.
Do you watch battle rap?
Not a ton, but I'm vaguely familiar with it.
So anybody that watches battle rap is gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. Sue Surf battled Hitman, Sue Surf battled Hitman Holla, right? Hitman Holla has a brother named Show Off. And if you know anything about battle rap, everybody has like their signature, right? Hitman Holla will remix it. So he'll say whatever it is. It'll be 4 bars. He'll say whatever it is, and he'll remix it. In the middle of it, it's almost like he's chopping a record, right? But certain chops, he'll let his brother finish the bar. The Sue Surf battle was happening, and he does whatever he does or whatever. And the end of the bar is something about like Holla, I'll knock him clean out. But he pushed Holla out the way and he slid up on his opponent. Surf and Holla are cool. No real issue. I may not have that relationship with your brother. So he slid up. Surf was cool. When he remixed it, Holla brother got a little excited. And when he slid up, he made contact with Surf. And you see Surf went like this, and he was about to mush him. And he pointed at Holla and was like, get him. First thing that went through my mind when I saw Tyrese Halliburton's dad in front of Giannis's face. Now, if he mushes him with that big-ass hand, he'll be wrong.
Yeah. I mean, you could see, I saw some guy tweet, he was like, you could see the wheels turning in Giannis's head about whether he should beat this guy's ass or not.
I think he calculated every fine. He contemplated if he cared about his career. He contemplated who it was. He didn't know who it was.
Like that Hangover scene with Zach Galifianakis and the numbers are crunching. He's like, now how should I play this?
He said, what do I lose if I do this?
Yeah.
And that's all I saw. When he was looking at him, I was like, and part of me thought too, when the person I think it was Pat Connaughton, walked into the middle, Giannis still stood there for like 3 seconds and was like, you know what? Now move your hand real quick. Let me.
Yeah, he was still like,
because he waited. And I think whatever conclusion he came to, he was like, okay, I figured out what I'm gonna do. Okay, you can move now. And and the funny thing is, I remember asking this question to Brian Salmon. Shout out to Brian. I had met Giannis one summer league. And when Giannis walked by, I leaned into Brian. I was like, yo, quick question. Ignorant question. He said, what? I said, how much I got to pay you to slap box Giannis? He said, the slap box him? I said, yeah. It's open palms only. He was like, I don't know. I'm not saying that people wouldn't do it.
I mean,
I don't think nobody's signing up for it.
If you give me a fair amount of money, you're telling me that's one slap I got to take because I'm dropping after the first slap. I'm not slap boxing. I'm gonna get slapped. I'm gonna take the slap and I'm gonna see how much money that's worth to me. I mean,
that's hilarious, dog. But going back to what you said about people being negative about Giannis, that was actually my that's out there now. Was Giannis's presser. It goes back to what I said in the beginning, right? Especially when you hold so much in the palm of your hand, you got to be responsible with it. And one of the conversations I had with Sam Gordon, I'm just shouting everybody out. Shout out to Sam Gordon, who now covers the Golden State Warriors. Shout out to the hat. We talked about it after one of the Aces seasons, and we were like, damn, like end of season pressers are hard depending on what the expectation was for the team coming in. Like, you don't even know how to even maneuver, like start the presser. Once it starts, it usually is what it is. But last year, I believe, or maybe 2 years ago, when somebody asked Giannis if the season was a failure, and his reaction of oh my God, like, how do I say this the right way? And even when in the middle of it, he was like, you've never, I don't want to make it personal. Like, it's a team sport. You could see him still thinking through it. To see him acknowledge, it was two things I think mainly. That one main thing that that stood out to me during his post-game presser, like he said, I don't know how it feels to have a kid hit a game winner. Like he said, in 20 years, you may see me do it and you'll bring up this clip. And like he said, we can address it then, because I may be a hypocrite then. But now, this is how I feel. Anybody that had anything negative to say about Giannis, it goes back to the ability to deduce something. We saw Giannis breaking down the situation as it was happening, and then we saw Giannis be thoughtful in his explanation after the fact. This is why athletes don't talk.
Yeah, 100%. And you could see from the beginning, from the very beginning, how it was going to be framed, because they weren't even including the first clip when they're all these tweets, like the first 20, 30 minutes after the situation. I'm trying to track down the first interaction between Halliburton's dad and Giannis, because I couldn't find it for like an hour, because the whole discourse for the first hour after this game was Giannis's reaction and Giannis getting in Benedict Mathurin's face, and Giannis and that the what's become the lasting image now of Giannis like in Halliburton's dad's face after the fact, which to me, watching it live, I like watching the game on TNT. You saw the interaction kind of between Halliburton and Giannis's dad as the game ended. So you know, like if you're watching at least that broadcast, you know something happened. So when you see when I saw Halliburton's dad and Giannis come together and go face to face, like that looked like almost like an apology or like making amends at first. Super charged up, obviously, but like
you see, even when Giannis left, Giannis
he
had his chest, gave thumbs up,
and when they first made that interaction, they shook hands.
Okay, see, so you could see Giannis's hand was clearly doing something. I don't know if he grabbed him or he shook his hand. It was one of the two.
But then Halliburton's mom or whatever like shoved Giannis like when he had his face, and it was just all crazy. But I mean, I kind of forgot where I'm going with this.
Well, we were just talking about Giannis just being thoughtful in the response, because it could have went a couple of different ways.
Yeah, but
I think the
way they framed it, I found my point again.
Yeah,
the way they framed it though, to not even include that first interaction, and then they have it like, oh, Giannis is, because you know the narrative around Giannis is he's kind of like this aggressive guy, like it just plays into certain narratives, and then to see it like now to have it, like they had to clear it up after the game almost, and it's kind of like everyone was just as quick to go back to Giannis's side when they saw that first clip that didn't get shown off at first.
Is Giannis aggressive, or is Giannis the guy that plays too much, that says chicken winner winner chicken dinner at the All-Star game?
I don't personally think he's aggressive, but
no, I don't either. But it's the point of like you can't. First, he doesn't take it serious enough. He's Dwight Howard, right?
Yeah. And
then he's the aggressive guy. He's Isaiah Stewart 2.0. Like, what is he? Anyway, if we're talking about post-game pressers, let's go to JJ Redick and the exact opposite side of the spectrum of that one. This is what I will say about the JJ Redick clip, and you guys know I grew up a Duke fan, and I've been one of the people that has backed JJ since becoming Lakers head coach. What I'll say is insecurity speaks loud.
Oh, 100%.
And that young reporter's question about the decision to not go to those guys or not go away from those guys in the last game. In this game, would you possibly talk to some other people about? I think that's probably what pissed JJ off about talking to other people, but that's what your job includes. And if you say that you did it, let you do it, like you said in your answer, that particular part wouldn't have pissed you off. Because for him to say, for the question to be, are you going to rely on some people to, possibly be like, hey, let's get Vando these minutes. Let's get Rui these minutes. Are you going to lean on somebody more in this game? JJ, if you do it every other game, the answer should be no. I'm not going to do it any more now than I've done it in the past. But when I go back to saying insecurity speaks loud, well, are you saying that because I'm a young, inexperienced head coach? I would have looked at JJ and been like, none of those words came out of my mouth.
I saw a tweet from Jagify Jones, one of my favorite Twitter accounts. He's like, that reporter was being too kind to JJ with that roundabout questioning. The reporter nicely worded a question whose premise was, hey, man, play on that same lineup for the entire second half. Was that a group decision with you and your assistants or your own dumbass idea?
Essentially.
Like, that's how you should have asked the question if you if you really, if JJ really wants to be offended at the fact that you coached your team out of the last 2 games of that series.
Absolutely.
You can blame Luke all you want. You can't blame LeBron because LeBron was great.
People are still blaming Bron and Luka. Just letting you know.
I know, because it's just how it goes. There was one person who cost the Lakers that series. His name's JJ Redick. That shouldn't be mistaken. What Rudy Gobert did to them
should be criminal.
It was one of the great closeout game performances we've seen out of a center in the last 20, 30 years of NBA basketball, because JJ Redick didn't want to play a center. Because he said, oh, we can't score without a center. Well, it doesn't matter if you score, if you give up 30 points to Rudy Gobert and 28 rebounds. Like, Jesus Christ.
And then you add to the fact that Bron, these are all that's out there now. I told you guys, post-game pressers have been lit.
And can I say something about Austin Reeves? Can I say something about Austin Reeves?
Aside from he has to get traded this offseason?
We hear all regular season.
And I love AR.
We hear all regular season about how great Austin Reeves is. Oh, he's the second best player on the Lakers. Oh, before the Luka. Oh, this Austin Reeves is like... I saw people compare Austin Reeves to Pistol Pete Maravich.
Yeah, I seen that too. People
that made me want to throw my phone out of the window. Like, are you serious? This is not.
Will said, "I'm not stalling them out."
That's
relax, brother. Breathe. Calm down.
Just angers me.
We got 30 more minutes. You could pace yourself.
They basically just because he's a white guy who could score 35 in one single NBA game, they think he's Pistol Pete Maravich. It's just a joke, and I'm almost glad to see him play the way he did in the playoffs.
That's haters.
Like, it brings people back to earth. Especially Lakers fans who have no reason to be on planet Earth. Honestly, you see these Twitter scenarios like, "Oh, we're gonna get Giannis. We're gonna trade for Giannis." It's like, can I even argue with you at this point because you just traded for Luka out of completely nowhere? Like,
so as a matter of fact, too, just highlighting that aspect of it. Bron said in his post-game presser, when they asked about him playing the 5 and the lack of a center, I think it was Dave McMenamin that asked the question. Bron said no comment because when AD said what he needed, he was gone the next week.
I didn't like that because you knew about the AD trade. Don't tell me you got backdoored with the AD trade.
That's not. And I'm not necessarily a Bron apologist, so I can go either way on this because I feel both ways. That's not what I said. I never said I didn't know about it. But two things can be true. AD could have said
you're trying to wash your hands with it.
I agree. I think both things are true. But I think Bron is very... See if I want to say this. All right, so I know of people that have been in negotiating tables with Bron. One of the stories that I got back, they were like, have you ever talked to Bron? And I was like, I have. They said, what's your takeaway? I was like, I only asked them like 2 questions. Like, it was what it was. They said, well, had this meeting. We obviously can't discuss what the negotiations were about, but they said one of my main takeaways from him was every question that was asked, he like took like a noticeable pause before answering it. And the person was like, the way that his mind works, you could tell that he's been famous since he's been 14. And that never left me. Because of that, I think Bron is very strategic about what he doesn't tell you while he's telling you something. Yeah. Right? I never once said that I got backdoored by the trade. Well, in this particular instance, we know Bron lied before. We know that one. But in this particular instance, I think he learned from the lie, which is why he said what he said. I think what he's making it sound like was conversations didn't get brought to me till you said what you said. That may be the lie, but how does anybody disprove it? You said you needed a center. They came to us and was like, hey, Got 80 on the table. I know you're gonna be mad, but we bringing back Luka. That was the and again, going back to the Stephen A. Smith point, one of the issues he had with Brown for 20 years is what? You try to shape the narrative of a story, we already know the truth. That's all it seemed like to me. I wasn't mad at what he did. Do I feel like it was a little bit of bullshit? You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of a lie that we've all told our girl before. That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't mean caught, and you kind of already know the truth, but I'm gonna kind of soften the blow.
Yeah.
It's like I already know that I'm caught, but let me try to make it seem like, well, I mean, it happened, but it happened after this.
I don't know. I still didn't love it just because, like, I don't know. I kind of want to see LeBron take more accountability in those moments.
When have you seen him take? All right, this is gonna sound like I'm hating now, but
No, that's fair.
come on now.
That's fair. And I should have known better. But yeah, I mean,
Well, I'll tell you what.
it's like it makes me feel weird, like nasty saying it, but it's almost like the Mavericks are vindicated in trading Luka.
I didn't want to say it, but I was thinking when they got eliminated in 5, I think Nico's at home. Like,
what they got back will never vindicate it, because like what they got back is what's going to make the trade go down in history as garbage, because they could have, regardless of how Luka plays in Los Angeles for the rest of his career, what they could have got back from other teams if they were to put him on the free market would have dwarfed what they got back from the Lakers. So it was a horrible trade in that sense. And I know they made calls to Minnesota. I mean, if they were to trade Luka for Anthony Edwards, that's a great trade. If they were to get that trade, if Minnesota was receptive to that initial offer, that's a great trade. You're trading a guy who I believe is going to be maybe not on the downward trend in the rest of his career in Luka, but a guy who's not going to be consistent year out. Anthony Edwards, the next decade, is going to go.
I think I'm not gonna say we disagree on that, but I think Luka is. I think
you need to put more around Luka than you need to do around Ant to be a legitimate playoff contender. And I think we see that this year, in the sense that, like, Ant, they have a great team in Minnesota. I'm not taking it away, but this is also a team that traded Cat, and like they felt that loss the first part of the season.
Oh, for sure.
So it's like,
I said it up around All-Star break. I still didn't know if I was looking at a good team, and not something like that. It took this series for me to kind of feel like, okay, maybe this team is a team now, but
it's a team because they have a leader, and they have, maybe at this point, I mean, I'm not going to say he's the best leader in the NBA, but he's top 3 to 5. Like, I'm not sure how many players I'm taking him over. I'll take SGA. I'll take Jokic. Probably take Giannis still. Steph, because I'm biased.
I think I take him. I think I take Ant over SGA. I know people are going to look at me like I'm crazy.
I don't hate it, but I have to show SGA respect for the season he's had.
That's still my MVP. I still stand by what I said. But it is what it is.
I do. I get it for sure.
I do have 2 baseball topics to get to end the show, but before I do that, the Aces are back. Back in business tomorrow against Dallas.
It's time to deal with all these Twitter trolls and WNBA.
They don't bother me as much.
They kill me.
They don't bother me as much.
I mean,
Raider fans, UNLV fans probably bother me the most. Raider fans are occasionally like,
not that they bother me, it's that they like
Aces fans don't bother me.
The Aces fans are fine. I'll post a tweet though. Like, I posted a tweet last year, and I said, like, Cheryl Swoops was like not even controversial. I was like, the narratives about this lady aren't true. She's a nice person. Like, I just saw her greet fans and
absolutely
stuff for 20 minutes after the game. I tweeted that. I tweeted a video of it. The tweets and the messages I got from the people from Iowa, not even our, like, I'm not gonna say Iowa, the Caitlin Clark, the MAGAs, all these white supremacist ass people. Some of the messages I got were just that I didn't even say anything remotely controversial or any offending. That was like this is where we at now, and that's kind of just where Twitter's at now. Like, you just look at anything on Twitter, and it's just like, it doesn't even feel like old Twitter in a sense that like anything flew on old Twitter. Now it just feels like I'm on like a racist 4chan forum or like a Reddit forum or like something.
It feels a little more Reddit-ish.
The darkest depths of the internet that I don't want to be on.
It does feel a little Reddit-ish, a little bit. It's rabbit hole Reddit-ish, if that makes sense. Like it's anarchy for sure.
it's like it feels like you used to see screenshots of Twitter. Like I bring up 4chan because you used to see screenshots on Twitter of like people making fun of these 4chan incel people, like saying, "Oh, this is like the lowest debt of society. Like who could want to be like these people?" And it's not that to do with sports at all. But
Which is even better.
now you see it now, and it's just like this is a regular Twitter conversation in 2025. It's crazy. It's like where have we gone? And it's I'm just saying that because I know I'm going to have to deal with some of this WNBA in the WNBA season like I did last year, and it's just going to be a dredge.
I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like you just kind of said it. We're going to deal with it anyway. I think we're going to get. I got a little bit of it last year, and I was. I'm not going to say I was shocked. I got a little bit of it last year.
I don't even think it's like even like Caitlin Clark's actual fan, bro. It's just
no,
it's like bots half the time, and like I won't say bots, like people who are just using this for like.
Well, some are,
yes,
but in terms of like what I was getting ready to say, I had Liberty fans.
Oh
like,
yeah,
because again, we cover the Aces, so there are some people that just want to see the Aces go down.
There's even a few South Carolina and Asia fans who get.
I really don't run into too much of
that. They don't give me a problem, but like if you were to ask like certain WNBA fan bases who they hate the most in the league in terms of like other fan bases, a lot of them would say the Aces fans.
I believe it
because of like what they portray online, and like obviously the Aces franchise hasn't done any itself and everything scandal. So I mean, like. Vegas has.
It's not just that either. They didn't. The Candace Parker thing didn't rub people too well. It was a couple things that the Aces have.
I mean, just Becky's presence. I think
that bothers people too.
She's like the feminists in the league and associated with the league look at Becky as like a bastion of the league's values. I'll say that,
and
especially after the NBA thing.
And it's not a shot at anybody in particular. This is what I feel. If we had to do an over-under on Becky Hammon to the NBA, I've said this before, 3 years, over-under, I have under, and I feel like whenever she does touch the NBA, I don't know that she ever coaches in the W again. So I just think it's interesting that even if you do...
Do you think that scandal might have scared off NBA teams, though?
No, because they wouldn't have to deal with a pregnancy.
That's
I hate to be that guy.
It's just a PR thing at this point. Like, I mean, I don't think it would matter personally, but I mean, I
don't think a single soul in the NBA would have an issue.
I will say for her to go to the NBA, the Aces have to continue to play like championship level basketball. If the Aces falter and like they have like a 500 season or like an 8, like they go 18-15 or something, I don't know if that's right about games, but like that's gonna make Becky look like.
So let me ask you this though, because I disagree from a small standpoint. Do you think one season of the Aces struggling discounts the years that she sat up under Pop and what he's going to be able to?
I don't think
co-sign.
I don't think it should, but I think we're dealing with a woman that's going to be vying to be the first female head coach in the history of sport.
I agree, and
we're talking about there's other female coaches now that have come up after Becky Hammon that are in the NBA right now on assistant
absolutely
coaching staffs right now.
Candace Dupree is one of them
that might get that call for Becky.
Oh, I don't know about that one.
So it's
yeah, I hear you.
It's kind of like she's gonna have to work twice as hard. Almost like she's gonna have to do twice as good just because she's a woman entering an industry where no other woman has like succeeded as the top dog before in the NBA. Not saying it's not possible.
Yeah, but
just history, and especially in we're dealing with executives here who are known cutthroat people. Like I don't know,
but we're also dealing with executives who we know that winning trumps all. And if they feel like I'll say this,
but a bad season would also lend credence to the argument that if you aren't,
I'll say this. I didn't talk to her directly. I'll say that. When Toronto had that coaching job open, I heard that Becky was on their list. And let's just say you don't want to believe that.
I do believe it. No, I believe. But I'm
about to say, let's just say you didn't. The Chicago Sky's head coach, James Wade, ended up over there on the coaching staff. So just from that standpoint alone, this was, I think, I want to say maybe the year before the De'Arica Henry situation. If it wasn't, it was the same year that obviously things started to come out. Things have gotten worse as time has gone. But I know I don't want to say it for a fact, but I know pretty damn close that Toronto made the phone call to her. Is all I'm going to say. And so
I wouldn't be. I mean,
do I know of any other team since? No, but that one was a real one to my
She
knowledge.
probably does. I mean, not probably. Obviously, she does. But I'm not surprised that she appears on these lists and like these coaching lists, and that she's even a final 3 candidate. When you get down to the nitty gritty, and you have 3 candidates, and 2 of them are men who have been on NBA coaching staffs, let's say the last decade, and one of them is a WNBA coach, with as much as she's proven in the NBA and in the international game as a coach, may have like the last couple seasons of the WNBA for whatever it's been, whether not fully performance based, but also off the court base, hasn't been the best look for her. That might where it gets where it's tricky in those like final stages of a coaching search.
I'm not mad at you. I just feel like if you might be a team that's scraping at the bottom of a barrel, i.e. a Toronto, I don't think anybody can look at that the time span from when Becky originally got the call and said no to where they are now. I don't know that somebody looks at Becky in that situation and say, oh, well, Becky would have done drastically worse, considering, I mean, again, there are going to be some antiquated people who look at it and be like, oh, she's winning in a 12-team league. We understand that. But it's not like Becky has never had her feet wet in the NBA.
There's also some horrible coaching in the NBA right now.
That's another thing to add. That's nothing to add to her credit.
Like,
she's a good
bottom
coach.
like 15 coaches in the league are just like carousel guys who are going to be in and out because, like, I feel like the NBA, especially, there's so much turnover with the coaches because teams are so quick to be willing to pull the plug, and like
we've seen it before with championship winning
they'll bring in guys who are like, they say, oh, you'll come in the tank, you'll be here a few seasons, and then they just cut them loose after a year or two. It's like, and
Frank Vogel, Nick Nurse, Darvin Ham, we can keep going.
There's only so many winning franchises in the league. Like, even you see it now, like the Thunder and Cavs are like 2 upstart finals teams, like 2 upstart championship contenders. Well, the Thunder and Cavs are franchises that have already been established for two decades each now, almost. The Thunder have had a different core make the finals entirely.
3 different times. Well, not the Thunder, but the franchise itself, right? 3 different times? 2 different times. 2 different times, I think. But really quick, we can get to baseball and then we can get out of here. But before I do that, the Aces do open preseason play tomorrow against Dallas. I did highlight that page against this group. I'm going to be interested to see it. I'm just ready to see it. I'm not going to lie. Just some baseball news for you guys really quick. I was covering the game before I got in here. Aviators season high 6-game win streak. I want to give you guys some of these numbers really quick. Because this is all going to go into the story, but season high 6-game win streak for the Aviators. A win tonight meant that they can do no less in this season or in this series than split. We're 6 series into the season, and Vegas hasn't lost a series yet. If they win tomorrow, Saturday, or Sunday, that's 5 wins in their first 6 series, with the other one being a series split. By the way, that series split that I was just mentioning was their last series on the road against Round Rock. They lose the first 3 and win the last 3. I've said this before. In my fandom growing up, people would ask me every year, where are your Pacers going? We're going to be somewhere between 3 and 8. We're going to probably win a game or 2 in the first round. Going home. People ask me, what are my Packers going to do? No, I said that. What are my Angels going to do? How many games you play? 162? Probably going to win 77 games, have the second highest payroll in the league, and miss the playoffs. People ask me what my Packers are going to do. And I just don't talk. It happens every year. People are like, well, what do you think Packers are going to do? I usually tell people, if I don't give you a prediction, it's because I feel like they can do it. It's 2 teams this year that I refuse to talk about. It's the Aces and it's the Aviators. And I know people may be listening to this saying, why do you even have that much faith in the Aviators? Because I've watched this team I'm going to be completely honest. I don't think anybody outside of somebody who works for the team has watched this team closer to me in the last 6 seasons. 2019, this team won the Pacific Coast League. I got to run this group this year. I told a friend right away. I said, I'm going to knock on some wood when I tell you this. And he was like, what? I said, everybody's asking me predictions. And I told him the last 2 years, 74 and 75, 75 and 74, right around that midway point both times. I said, I don't want to discuss where this team can go this year because I think you can win it all. I said, does that locker room have the feel of 2019? And coaches will BS you. 2-time manager of the year, 2-time PCL manager of the year, Fran Ritter looked at me and was like, no, without a doubt. And the difference is we have the arms. The past couple of years, we haven't had the arms. Like he said, that bullpen is reconstructed from the top to the bottom. And then he was like, and then this is what I asked him, and he obviously was able to get into it. I said, so Fran, I said the running joke in the press box with all due respect. Fran and I have even joked about it. We joked that the A's lead the league in transactions. That has a lot to do with their squad. And I told him, does it feel like you'll keep a bulk of this squad for majority of the year, which lends to you feeling like you're going to be in the postseason? And he said that's ultimately what it comes down to. There's more stability at the big league level. So by default, the AAA level is going to have more stability. I have one more note for you. Tonight's win put the Aviators 10 games over 5.
Pretty good for May 1st.
We are 30 games into the year. This can go left quickly. But this is why I wouldn't answer those questions in the beginning. I don't know what this team can do.
I feel like that's extra true in like AAA too, because I've said the roster turnover and like, especially the A's, they're going to need arms at some point, especially if they're playing even close to 500 ball.
Very true.
I mean, may not be possible, but they're doing not too terrible right now. So
yep. And actually, we're going to end with the A's. As a matter of fact, my dad has a baseball tip in. But as of right now, the A's or the Aviators still lead the Pacific Coast League West. They lead the PCL West. The Dodgers, but the Dodgers AAA team, the Oklahoma City now renamed Comets, keep winning. So that's just going to be something to watch. I will say this for anybody that's watching the standings. If I recall correctly, I think everybody behind the Aviators are 500 or worse. If that's the case, we've seen it happen in recent years in the PCL. Sometimes these leads can get ugly. I didn't see teams have 17-game leads where you lose 5 of 6 and team is like, we got a 17-game cushion. We'll figure it out. We'll be fine. If the Aviators keep winning, who knows how far this team can go. Either way, I just told you Fran was a 2-time PCL Manager of the Year winner. Remember them 2 500 seasons I just told you about?
Yeah.
One of those, the Manager of the Year years.
Yeah. That just shows the reality of AAA baseball and what you're managing and like trying to stay afloat with, just especially with the turnover the Aviators have had, probably.
That's exactly what it is. And when you hear the conversation, again, I sent the story up on our website sometime September of last year. The story that I talked to Don Logan in April of last year, didn't post the story till September because in the story he told me I'm fully ready for this to be my last season with Fran. He said there's no way a big league team doesn't come calling. Like at some point it's going to happen. So he told me I'm kind of on a year-to-year basis. At any point he can get that call. So apparently the rest of the minor leagues paid attention to it as well for you to give him. And I'm going to be honest with you, I told Fran, I said, the first one, 2019, obviously, you won the championship. I said, the second one, I said, Fran, I had to look at my phone twice. Okay, the playoff game, tonight, we're not in it, right? I was like, how the hell? Anyway, it worked out for Fran and company. And this series is working out for them. They got 3 up, or they're already 3 up, rather, on, why am I blanking? What the hell is my note right here? on my blanket on Tacoma of the Seattle Mariners organization. They're up 3-0 in that series. Jack Perkins made his AAA debut tonight. 4 innings of scoreless ball, 3 hits allowed. I mean, that's pretty good when you get to that level for the first time. So it's really dope to see Jack get his opportunity. I think he's going to be a mainstay at the AAA level this season, especially after getting his first notch. Just talking athletics too, man. If you want to talk winning ways, let's talk winning ways, because the A's have won back-to-back games, and they won 3 of their last 4, which was against Texas. That's a 3rd straight series win for the Athletics. Hey, dog, I don't make the rules, bro.
I mean, they spent some money on their roster this year for the first time.
Yeah, money.
It seems like ages. So hopefully they're getting it right before they get to Las Vegas. Hopefully when they come here, they got a winning team for a couple seasons, a little bit of momentum. So we get some tickets sold, get a little fan base up in there. But
I will continue to ask anybody who comes into the show, guys. I'm gonna try to keep a note on the different people that we come in and ask the question to. Will, you move around the city a lot. Real quick, have you seen green? Have you seen a gold A? Have you seen the words athletics anywhere in the city?
no.
Okay, I just want to be. The A's are 17-15 in the AL West. AL West sucks this year. Have you paid attention?
A little bit, yeah, just because I got to rate it for like handicapping. But
It stinks. And handicapping, stay away from it. It's
go against it.
Very good point. Go under always. I say go under, and then the A's just lost. The one game that they lost to Texas lost 15-2. So
I've seen a couple of those score lines already this year. Where it's like
it's growing. It's ugly. It's ugly. Real quick though, because I didn't say this earlier. You guys know how I feel, especially about baseball. Becky Hammond knows how I feel about the plus minus. I care about plus minus way more than Becky does. So every time I bring it up, Becky just looks at me. I'll be like, dog, it matters. Key is plus 17. It matters. I'm telling you. In baseball, in terms of the standing, if you call me crazy, I'm gonna be mad a little bit. But I pay attention to run differential. I think that will tell you a big story.
that's fair. I would say that was especially true with the Rangers a couple of years ago. The Rangers were like a 90-win team, so like but I said going in the playoffs, I think they're going to go World Series, because at one point in like June or July, their run differential compared to the league was like gargantuan.
And so I'm happy that you said that, because let's go to the comments, right? The comments who have the best record in the had the best record in the PSL, or excuse me, the PCL. I haven't looked at the rest of the league tonight, but they had the best record in the PCL. When I looked at it, I looked at their run differential. Might have been plus 39, something crazy, right? I'm like, whoa, you guys are just making sure that you get the difference. I looked at the Aviators, who at the time I believe was 2 or 3 games behind. Plus 64.
That's crazy.
I saw that and was like, now going by my own metric, the best team in the PCL resides in Vegas.
That's definitely fair, especially when it's that drastic. It's kind of where it goes, where it's like not up to interpretation anymore, and it's kind of just like you've had some bad luck here and there.
I got my dad tip in, and we can get out of here. Appreciate you guys. We got about 2 minutes left in the show. We started about 5 minutes late, as I mentioned before, coming in. Typical Thursday show. I'm gonna try to get the guy back sometime this week, I feel like. The problem is Will writes for 4 different publications. So
Yeah,
it's basketball one day, it's handicap the next day, it's NASCAR the next day. It's like, tell me when you're free. But let's discuss my tip in for a split second, and then we can get out of here. He said this is the result of a game that happened in August of last year, but in looking for a tip in, the title of the article and the way the game ended intrigued me, so I looked into it. And it turns out it was a great game. So let's figure out what game I'm talking about. He said, let's go back. First of all, why are you storytelling? He said, let's go back. I want my dad to write for the company, and he won't take me serious.
He sounds like right. I mean, we got
dead ass, right?
Some bars in here,
and I'm like, no, I will tell him that. Just don't pick up the pen. I'll tell you if you don't need to pick it up. I think he should write. I approached him about this idea last week, and I think I got him on the fence. I'm gonna have to send him to a lot of games, but I got him on the fence though. I think I got an idea. I'll tell you what it is afterward. Let's go back. It's Florida versus Taiwan in the 2024 Little League World Series.
It's a poll. Respect.
He said Taiwan came into the game looking for its 18th Little League World Series title. Their 17 titles are the most by any international team. And they were 5-0 in Little League World Series play, while Florida came into the game on a streak of 8 straight trips to the title game without a win. On to the game. Taiwan took the early lead in the first innings on a 2-out single that followed 2 leadoff walks to score their first and only run. Taiwan kept off the scoreboard for the first 5 2/3 innings. It could have been a game. It could have been a game blamed on missed opportunities for Florida when you count all the runners left on base, which is another stat that I pay a lot of attention to in baseball. Florida received 2 walks with 2 out in the bottom of the first, but ended the inning on a strikeout. Bottom of the second, Florida faced its best scoring opportunity without a hit after 2 leadoff walks and a batter that was hit by a pitch to load the bases with no one out. But then followed a double play that didn't produce a run, and they ended with a strikeout. Florida then stranded runners on first and second with 1 out in the third and stranded a runner on third in the fourth and in the bottom of the fifth as well. Oh, I lied. My dad said the bottom of the fifth it ended on the strikeout with the runner on second. He said now the fun begins. By keeping Taiwan scoreless at the top of the 6th, that gave Florida a chance to send the game into extra innings, and that's exactly what they did. The game tying rally started with a leadoff hit by a pitch. If I'm Taiwan, I'm pissed.
Oh, yeah.
We're walking everybody. We're hitting everybody. I got this person that I work at the bar with, right? She's a Diamondbacks fan. And you have no idea how much fun I'm having this season when we watch games. I just look at her sometimes. I don't want the game, huh? And she just looks at me with like fire. She just like, stop. And I just be looking at her like, if you don't want it, just tell me. Like, you can give it to the Braves. Where at? The game time really started with a leadoff hit by pitch. And then a 2-out walk put runners at first and second. That was followed by a 2-0 offering hit in the shallow left field, which drove in the game tying run. On to extra innings we go. 6 innings in regulation. I'm sorry. And after 6 innings of regulation, in Little League World Series extra innings, the offense begins the innings with a runner on second base. We know that now as the ghost runner. So the bottom of the 8th starts the runner on second for Florida, and get ready for it. Florida wins the title on a walk-off bunt. The bunt was up the first base line in order to advance the runner to third, but nobody covered first on the throw, allowing the winning run to score as the ball bounced into the outfield. Congratulations to Florida. I guess we'll never see a walk-off bunt in the scoring column, but now we know what it means. I had a conversation with my dad recently. I had a conversation with my dad recently, and my dad told me this wild NASCAR story. And he was like, yeah, he didn't race for whatever the case, broke an arm, whatever the hell, wild story, right? I had 2 questions. Where did you find this? And secondly, why were you looking for it? And he was like, well, I wasn't looking for it. I was looking for a tip in and I came across this, but I didn't send it. It was the day that he said he didn't have a tip in. I hit the fucking roof, brother. I was pissed. So you told me that story and you didn't text it to me? And he was like, well, I didn't think it made sense. Like, you're not talking about NASCAR today. So what? Tell the story. That's the point of it.
100%.
I said, go and get a bunch of evergreen tip-ins and have them for moments like this. The night that he sent me this, I didn't do the show originally. The Aviators had a walk-off. My dad called me and was like, was it a walk-off bunt? I said, what the hell are you talking about? He said, oh, you didn't read the tip in. I said, fam, what are we doing, dog? But yeah, man, you guys know nothing makes the show better, in my humble opinion. As I mentioned before, I didn't build this company with my friends. I've continued to grow this company with my friends. I do this show with my friends. The fact that my parents are able to have a little bit of a piece of it is really, really dope to me. My dad definitely takes every advantage he can get.
Oh, I can't blame the guy.
My guy.
I would.
Until next time, guys. Keep on talking.
This be crazy.